Hi guys, this is Jeff at the Glorious Uncertainty on what was, well, the sun's coming back out again now, but I've just been sat in the van waiting for this this weather to clear. It's been absolutely throwing it down after before when I said it was the sun was out, but it's meant to be coming out soon and we can start laying some blocks. Oh, what fun. Right, I've been going over what people are saying about value, perceived value, about getting a price and whether it drifts. So all you have to do is, first of all, as a base, I would look at how many favourites win. It's around 30%. 30% of favourites win. That includes everything, 5-to-1s, even 8-to-1s, favourites in big fields, and you filter that right down to odds on. Right, so that's your base. That's what you start with for statistical analysis. Then you've got field sizes. So the bigger field size doesn't necessarily mean better horses. It just means there's more chance of you getting more value within that race, in my opinion. Also, in my opinion, if a horse drifts, and I'm thinking about hours now, and it doesn't win or doesn't even get placed sometimes, well, that's the market telling you, isn't it, that you were wrong. And sometimes in this life, it's the hardest thing for some people to admit that they are wrong. It's part of life. You're not always going to get them. You're not always going to get the horses. Look at the past two. So if we look at the most recent 4 horses, so Walefa wins, right? Now, another thing was, I took 6s on that, and you could quite easily have got 10s. I jumped the gun. I got it wrong. Wrong. But some of you got miles better prices than that. You got 10s. Some of you got 9s. Some went on the exchange and got bigger prices, which is great. But when the next 2 come out, so I think it was Ellie Piper and the other one, can't remember, they get hammered. But the same principles apply as to how I select the horses. Then we got Red Walls, and then Conjugative Wave last night, which I've learned how to pronounce it. They get hammered, but again, they're all the same. No, that's not true. They're not all the same. They all carry the same weight of anticipation or expectation as to whether they're going to produce or not. If they fail miserably, well, they fail miserably, but I can't start changing things. I can't start changing it because of one result. You look back. That's why I know Callum does this. I do this occasionally. He does it occasionally. We look back over the record of the stats just to reassure ourselves, not only you, ourselves, as to what's going on. The big picture. That's always the one. So that's why we do it. Have a look back and check. The other thing is the difference, in fact, not particularly a difference between Callum and myself, because Callum has a strategic staking plan, very clever one, I must admit, and I have a staking plan. So if a horse has a lot of question marks about it, let's say today that old Herbert Reigns, I remembered its name, old Herbert Reigns, right? It's got loads of question marks against it. It's got loads of question marks that don't exactly instill confidence with me, right? But when I've assessed a horse, that then plays it right down to a 1.5 point bet. If I was going to bet, it's unbackable. But Ahmad scored 7.5 actually, goes out as a 7-point bet. So as a 7-point bet, and every ticking all the boxes, it's stronger. So yeah, we're going to go with that. We are going to go with it, especially if it's 30 points clear on my analysis of its rivals. It'd be foolish not to. You can't start changing the way you've deal with potential winners because of what's just happened with losses. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't. Now, so I have a staking plan, Callum has a staking plan, and people can say, well, to get a true reflection of what's going on, you would have to have level stakes, and you'd have to do this and do that. Well, no, you don't. I don't. I'm all right, thanks for that, working it out in that way, because that's quite a manipulative way of looking at it. Mine is based upon the strength of the horse, of what it's done. Just to blindly take a £1 level stake and throw it on my horses probably wouldn't work. I don't know, I've not checked it. But in fact, what I'll do is I will check it and we'll see if we are in profit. But also, that's the way I operate. That's the way I do it. It's not designed to soften a blow when we have losers. It's designed strictly, you're putting money in based against the competition and what the horse has achieved. Strictly what the horse has achieved. And you have to be strict. You have to have an order to what you're doing. And that is why I believe it works. And that's why I believe Callum works. That's, we have two different styles, but he does his combination bets and I do the way I do it. But everybody does it differently. Everybody. And the number one thing about horse racing and about backing horses to win, to make money, is temperament. You have to have the right temperament. You've got to. And you've got to be confident in what you're doing. You have to be happy with giving a bookmaker some money based on an amount of money based upon what you can afford to lose. Not what you think in your head you're going to win. What you can afford to lose. It is critically important. This is why I keep banging on about this 400-point bank. You must get sick of it. I get sick of saying it, but it has to be said. We're working out of a 400-point bank. Now, at the top end of what I am doing and what the prices I've achieved, and don't forget, I didn't get all the best prices. I didn't. If we just look at recent history with Lefa, I took 6 to 1. It was 10 to 1 with all the rest of them. So if you have to be happy with what you're doing. You have to. And to have a 400-point bank, upon my research and what I've done in the past, I know that works. Because it eases the pain. It takes away the pain. And it gives you reassurance. You set that money aside for backing the horses and you work out of that pot. But I know there'll be very few of you that actually do this to the letter. I know you do. Maybe you're here in somewhere to have a kindred spirit about backing the horses, and you don't feel you're on your own, and you can get a different opinion, different look, or a different outlook on what you're doing. But as long as you're enjoying it, do it. Have you ever wondered why Callum and I do this? Or Connor? Have you ever wondered why? Because if I were you, I'd be thinking, why the hell is he doing it? That's what I'd be thinking. Well, it's not a paid service, is it? I used to do a paid service in the 90s. But you must be thinking, well, what does he get out of it? What do you think I get out of it? Let me tell you what I get out of this. And it's no jumping on a white charger and saving everybody from giving all the money to the bookmakers. It's nothing to do with that. It's to keep a check on me. That's what it does. It keeps a check on what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, underlines it, validates it, everything. I am being checked all the time by you. That's why I do it. Now, I bet Callum says the same thing. I bet he does. I bet he would say the same thing. It's mad. It's mad. You think, I'd be thinking, well, in the future, let's have a look in the future, what I could do as a tipster, right? I could go on to a paid service and all go Patreon on it. Or, in the future, what I could do is use all of this to my advantage. If I wanted to go, let's say, do corporate days and take people out to the races and bankers and all that and think that one could win, that's how much you need to put on that. I could do that, couldn't I, in the future? All of this serves a purpose for me in quite a selfish way, really. But I share it with everybody because it keeps me in line. It checks me. You understand what I mean? I know there's some real, there's a lot of people just wouldn't let anything go, which I appreciate that. You can't get away with anything when you're doing this. You can't. That's why you have to be true to what you're saying. You have to prove a profit. How that profit came about and whether it's as big as certain people can make out is up to you to determine, but everything can be proved, which it is. But doing this, you can't kid yourself. You really cannot kid yourself. You're in it. And there's no getting away from it. There's no going away and skulking and forgetting those losers. You can't. It is really, do you know what it is? It's therapy. It's therapy. It's fantastic. And it's quite liberating when you do it. And as I've said to you in the past, when you get thanks for what you're doing here, it really doesn't go, I don't miss it. I appreciate it more than what you think, because it underlines what you're doing, what your belief is. And when you're doing this, as I've said, you can't hide. No, nothing gets pushed under the carpet here. Can't. So that's why we do it. The other thing is, seeing as we're on a long message, one of Callum's long messages, where he says I'll make it quick and then he doesn't. Professional gamblers. How many of you thought, if I could get this together and I could do that, I could give up my job and I could be a professional gambler? Right. That's not going to happen. I'll tell you why. Back in the 90s, when I was proofing all of my bets to a company called The Winning Line in Cheshire, right? Now, The Winning Line, there was a guy there, the head honcho was Patrick Veach. If you Google Patrick, you see him as fantastic, brilliant gambler, right? Now, Patrick, when you hear him speak, is very, very methodical, and you have to be. He's a really, really nice guy, actually, but you've got to be methodical. You have to be. Now, most professional gamblers, when you look into them, that are long-term successful. So if you say Harry Finley, right? Harry's larger-than-life character is a bit wild, a bit woo, and he's up and down. He's a proper punter, if you know what I mean. He's a boom and bust punter, gambler, professional gambler, boom and bust man. But it always comes good in the end, because when his back's pushed against the wall, he has to step up his game. And that's what he does, from what I can see. Now, long-term gamblers, that is gamblers that continue to make money over a long time, like Patrick. And most of them, when you Google them or YouTube them, and you YouTube them, that's a good phrase, isn't it? But if you check them out, they usually come from finance backgrounds, or they are a better than average punter that has come good on a big combination bet and won a couple of 100,000, and then they've got the basis to do what they want to do because that revenue has come from the very thing that they love doing. Okay, now, so my position is that I don't have hundreds of thousands of pounds to do that. And back in the 90s, what happened at the winning line, I got headhunted by a guy called Malcolm. And Malcolm took me off and we started our own, he was the manager at the winning line. And we started my own tipster line. And it was the worst thing I ever did. I shouldn't have done it. But then, as I told you before, my kids came along, they were born. I decided I couldn't do that because it employed too much of my time. And I think that's what Callum's at the moment. Not that I'm delving into his private life, that's up to him. But that was the right choice for me to make. My kids came first. Sod the horses. They weren't. They were always going to be there when I came back to it. But 20 years later, or 21 years later, that's what happened. But I made my choices back then. I made my choice that a family and children were more important than me getting up at 5 every morning, going to get the paper, coming back, going through it in the days before it was all online, back then, the dark ages. And really, I decided that wasn't for me at that time. So people like Patrick and other professional gamblers come from a finance background, or people that have won money and from their own merits and being very good at backing the horses, hence the big combination bets dropping in. That's how they financed it. I was never at that stage because of my life choices. I couldn't do that. And I'm pleased that I didn't do that because money's not everything, is it? Let's face it. But these people who did it, I've got nothing but admiration for. I love Harry Finley. He's ace, and he's fantastic. He's a proper geezer, that one. But professional gambling and this dream that we all have of being a professional gambler, the amount of hard work that's involved is immeasurable. You'd rather have a normal job. Believe me, you'd rather have a normal job. But as I've said, I have nothing but admiration for those who actually do it, who can make a go of it and make money from it. But the temperament is everything. Temperament is everything. But if you check out those professional gamblers that I'm talking about, if you just Google professional gamblers, you can tell the ones that are full of it, and you can tell the ones that are genuine. They're different. They almost seem quite cold, but that's because their decision making they've got to make every day, mainly every day. But yeah, to be a professional gambler, you need a big pot of cash in the bank, and you work out of that. I think I'm sure Patrick's turnover, you have to check this, but I'm sure Patrick's turnover, he was working back then at, I think it was 1.7 million turning over for a 5 or 6% return. I'm sure that's what he was working. I'm sure it was. But you have to check. These are the kind of numbers that are involved when you do this as a professional gambler. So I'm a realist. Right? My chance was back then, right? But it didn't work out. But on other fronts in my great life plan, it did work out fantastically, thanks, because of my kids. So you've got to be realistic about what we're doing, okay? This is really fun as long as we are making money. That's paramount. We've got to make money. at it. Otherwise, I'm just like everybody else, all those other ones that are on YouTube. I don't need to name them. You know who they are, who just blab on about, I've got this horse for you, and that horse for you, but it doesn't add up because they don't show you a balance sheet. But some people are happy, a lot of people are fun punters, but that's not my other. I don't see the point in doing that. Right, so I've gone on for 20 minutes and it has stopped raining, which is good. So I might have gone off piste a bit with this video, but understand, I am not a professional gambler. No, I'm not. It's a sideline that I love doing. It's a hobby. That's a good way to look at it. View it as a hobby that makes money, or potentially can make money. Now, I am convinced, just finally, I say this, I'm not trying to big Callum up. That man puts I nearly swore then, a lot into what he does. And I am telling you now, I promise you, and he's not paying me to say this, he will land that big one. You mark my words, if you're not doing his bets, you're mental. For that man to put that much effort into what he does, he will land that big one. He will, because he's methodical. He's methodical. He pulls value with the big ones, with the big prices. He always, I'd have said, if I was just to plug a figure out of the sky, I reckon 95% of Callum's big priced horses come in on the book. They do before the off. They do. He is your, not me, he is your road to making that big £200,000 drop. I am telling you that. He will. Mark my words. Mark this day and mark my words. He is the one that will open the door for any of you who are seriously thinking you're capable of making money at the horses. He is the one who will provide that for you, not me. I'm like the backbone of it on a day-to-day basis, on the most you can get on. But my turnover isn't big enough to be self-sustaining. It wouldn't work like that. It just doesn't, again, because I'm a realist. But Callum, he could, and he will. Mark my words, he will. Right, that's it. It's getting lighter. It's only a cup of coffee away, and I can start laying blocks. 22 minutes, 23 minutes. That's the longest I've ever done a video. Be realistic, but have fun. I think Mr. Lafferty, J. Lafferty, said about doing 10p a point or 50p a point. Why not? Who cares? Do that, but have fun. Don't cause yourself distress. It's mental if you do that. Mental. Right, that's me finished with my musings for today. Have fun. Good luck with the bet. Bye for now. Bye-bye.